Welcome to the third adventure with Storm. We're going to explore China today. This is a map of China superimposed on the United States so that you can see how big it is and how it extends way north of Maine and then all the way down to the Yucatan Peninsula. Beijing is about the same latitude as China. So now I'm going to share the Google. All right. So you can also see from this view of China that a lot of it is not all that inhabitable. All right. You've got the Gobi Desert over here and the Tibetan Plateau here, which is very high elevation, and then Mongolia and quite a few bits of desert. So, and then these are all mountains down in here, very, very mountainous. So China has 4 times the population of the United States. And the habitable area of China really isn't that much more than what we have here, if that much at all, in the United States. So the first thing I'm going to show you about China is something that I discovered on my own. And it has to do with the way people live. We're going to pick a random city, just any city. Let's just do this one right here in the middle. If you look at any city in America from above, on the outskirts of the city, you'll find houses and apartment complexes. In China, every single city that you view, you find houses and complexes of apartment towers. All right. Now, you find these by the shadows that they produce, okay? In other words, over here, I think I see some, yes. See those shadows? See how it's darker, okay? These are all very, very tall 20-story buildings that are apartments. And this is not the greatest view because there'd be in shadows in them. But every single city in China has complexes of a dozen or more apartment towers. I did bookmark a few just to show you but you can see that you can find them on random. All right, this is a city that had a good view of them in terms of when you're looking at Google Satellite. It's very rare that you find a view that's directly above. You don't get near as much information from a satellite looking straight down as you do at somewhat of an angle, okay? So, and this one, it turns out, is under construction here. And you can see if we go real close, it's kind of blurry, but it looks like each floor plan is 4 apartment complexes. And these are 25-story buildings, and they're all over China, everywhere you look. Every city has complexes of apartment towers like that. And I just kind of happened on that myself. I don't know the only explanation. All right, here's one that says good light on apartment towers. Okay, yeah, this is that maybe where we were. I got more of them here. I'm going to do that. Okay, so it's just everywhere. I don't know what city that was exactly, Zhengzhou, but we can pick out another random city, and let's try this one, and I'll show you that someplace I've never been, and if you get just close enough there, see, look at this, all of this down here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a half a dozen clusters of tall apartment towers, and we'll zoom in on this one. Looks like the most visible. The lighting on this one isn't all that good either. They're still kind of in the shadows. But that's what happens. Every city that you zoom in on in China has row after row of apartment towers. All right, I'll pull up one more from my bookmarks. Here's one that says close up. Oh yeah, that's okay. So this is what they look like if you could get a view out the window of one of them. And they're all over China. So while we're here, this is the city of Zhengzhou, and they have some interesting statues there that, there was another view of it, and they have a tower. I think I saw another, okay, here's a close-up view of some statues along the Yellow River, it said. Okay, what happened here? Something, oh, I see, I have to move this, okay? It's hiding my X there. All right, so again, when you X out of a bookmark on Google Earth, it takes you to where, all right, here's a view from the street level of one of these apartment towers. And it's a panorama. And you can, this picture is all kinds of wavy because the computer had to stitch it together in these segments that were pie-shaped going up to a zenith. And that's just an artifact of the way this computer stitches it together. But I don't know, of the 1.4 billion people in China, there are hundreds of millions of them that obviously that live in these apartment towers. All right, that didn't work. Okay, there it goes. Ah, snap, something happened. All right, now we're going to go to the north of China and look at some, there's a city there called Harbin where they have a snow and ice competition every year. And I got some really good views of it. Let me show you, it's in the north, okay? Here is an overview of the town. And these are the ice sculptures. You can actually zoom in a little bit on these pictures. Every year in the winter, they have a ginormous ice sculpture, snow sculpture. I'm guessing it's a type of competition. And they're just really, really big, right? So if I close this one, we should get a view of the city. All right, and this is the city Harbin in northern China, and the ice festival takes place on this island here in the middle of this river. All right, it's a golf course. Where did it go? Okay, Park Sun and Ice Exhibition, Park Sun Island. So if you click on the names that are in green, you get a series of pictures like this guy. Okay, and this one, or that one. So let's close out of that. And while we're here, I just noticed you can see this city is surrounded by clusters of high-rise apartment towers also. They all are, every single one I've ever been to. Okay, so China, North, Ice World 1. We're gonna stick with this Ice World theme for a minute because it's just amazing. At night is when it's really spectacular because I don't know if they chop these blocks of ice out of the river or what, but they light them up with colored lights at night. And I actually saw, I think like a nature documentary or one of the Smithsonian Channel shows on China, they featured this town. So I knew it was there, and it didn't take me long to find it on Google Earth views. Okay, so China, North. Okay. I think this is the other one. Okay, yeah, this shows you a good shot during the day of how they build these out of cubes of ice. A few people are joining us late here, that's fine. All right, so this one is an observation tower. It's a rotating restaurant. And I thought it was interesting. And it also is a way of demonstrating another feature. This is the town that it's in. It's in northern China. But I wanted to show you, if you highlight the name that comes up here and you just right mouse click and say search Google, then you can go to Wikipedia and learn more about that. This is a tower in the town. It's called the Dragon Tower, and it's 336. It's 1,100 feet tall and stuff like that. And I just thought that was interesting. All right. So again, if you close this window, Google Earth View takes you back to where it thinks you were when you clicked on that. And we'll go to the satellite view. One thing about China, oh, look at that. We're in the middle of a dense bunch of very high-rise buildings. One thing about China and Earth View is that all of the streets do not line up exactly. Here's an example. See, this yellow line is what Google Map thinks the street is, but here is the actual street. So everything is offset by a certain amount, and it can be just kind of disconcerting. All right, so we're still in Harbin. That's the same town with the Snow and Ice Festival, and it also has that really, really large tower with the rotating restaurant. All right, what else? Here's something that's called the town of Harbin, and oh yeah, I thought this was interesting. This is also in the far north, and it has a park which is labeled as an anti-fascist sculpture park. And I was like, whoa, okay. So communist China is teaching its people about anti-fascism. Whatever. Sounds good to me. See, the anti-fascist war memorial park. So all of these journeys are going to be a combination of me showing you bookmarks of things that I found, and also us looking for other interesting things to possibly drop in on. Okay, there's nothing really came up there. But if you click on the name of the town, you get this sidebar with more pictures. That looks interesting. And the rest of it is just, oh, this is really interesting. What the heck is that? I don't know if I can highlight this. Oh, yes, I can't. Okay. So I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to search Google for it, and we're going to find out what it is. Does it have a Wikipedia page? It is the tourism and entertainment plaza in China built on the theme of traditional Russia. A city near the border of China and Russia. The main attractions is this square. Oh, it does have a Wikipedia page. That's for the whole town. All right. So that is the process of discovery. What the heck? Oh, a couple of woolly mammoths, I guess, and a Russian doll building made in the form of one of those Russian. That's a bizarre. You never know what you're going to find when you go exploring with Storm. All right. So if I close this window first, and then close this window, we can back out more, and you'll see that this town is on the border of Russia. All right. The reason that China goes way into Russia like that is that this border is two rivers. It's over here, it's the Amur River that runs all the way out to the sea, and then here it's this other river. What else do I have in the north of China? National Forest Park. That must have been something interesting. Why did I bookmark that? I don't know. Well, where are we here? Parking lot. Satellite. I don't know. There weren't. If you grab the little guy and you pull him up, you see, Russia has street views. All those straight lines are in Russia. There's hardly any street views in China, but there are thousands and thousands of these panoramas that people have uploaded. We can. This looks like it's maybe halfway interesting. just for an example of dropping in on one. Did they? What I wanted to demonstrate though was, all right, stop that. That one's not going to close on us. Oh, I see. Is that when you pick this guy up, it looks like there's only a couple in this area here. But if you zoom in closer, these two cities actually have quite a few more panoramas usually that show up. And I have no idea what we're going to see here. All right. Apartment complexes. People in China live on top of each other a lot. All right. So I'm trying to be conscious of the time. Next, we're going to go to Beijing, and we're going to do an overview of the Forbidden City. The Forbidden City in Beijing was the Emperor's Palace forever. I don't know the exact history of it, but it's huge. It's like, and it has, it's one of the main tourist attractions in Beijing. That has stuff like this in it. And these roofs were built in a way that are earthquake proof. What happens is it's a very elaborate construction on those roofs, and they float during an earthquake rather than crush the whole building. So this is an overview of Beijing that we're talking 1,000 feet to the inch. So this is 2,000 feet by 3,000 or 4,000 feet on the side, and it's completely surrounded by a moat, and there's only a couple of gates into and out of it. There's only 2, 3 gates. And now this has a lot of panoramas have been uploaded from inside the Forbidden Palace. We'll just drop in here on one of them and see what pictures that person took. There's a large central plaza, a series of buildings. To actually get to see to the emperor, you've got to go through a series of larger buildings. You see how it's structured? 1, 2, 3 main plazas on the inside. It's also walled. I don't know if we can get a view of the wall that goes around it or not. I hadn't thought about that. What is this one? Maybe that's a view of the wall. It's a view of the moat. We got the moat. Okay. We got the moat. Oh, and the wall. Yep, we did it. Look at that. I found the wall. It's pretty big. Goes all the way around this sucker. I mean, that's ginormous. All right, so Beijing. I got a whole folder for Beijing. The art zone. Let's see what that is. Why did I bookmark the art zone? Oh, well, it's a statue, and this guy is trying to push the ball backwards. That's funny. Here's some more statues. Here's another statue. In communist countries, it's frequent that you see statues and memorials to the common worker. And I think that might be what that is. Here's a couple of terracotta warrior type figures done in like an artist reconstruction. We're going to go there next. The tomb of the first emperor is not far from Beijing, and it is amazing, absolutely amazing. All right, let's see what else I got. Oh, before we leave Beijing, we have to take a quick view of the National Stadium. This was featured in the Olympics that we had not too long ago, and I believe there's an Earth view, a panorama from the inside of it will show us a kind of how big it is. But, oh, this is all full of snow, huh? I hadn't seen that one. More interesting to me, though, is the architecture of the building. And I think if we drop in on, no, that's not going to show it. Maybe I bookmarked it. Beijing, bird's nest overview. Or bird's nest. All right, so it was the bird's nest overview. Oh, I see what it is. Okay, so if you click on the name, the National this is what I was looking for. This is what I wanted to show you. The architect that designed this thing went way overboard, and but somehow it all holds up the roof that way. Pretty cool, huh?
Cool.
Cool. All right. All right. I think that, oh, inside the Forbidden Palace, I got one bookmarked. Oh yeah, this is a good one. You can see how intricate some of these buildings were inside the Forbidden Palace. All right. Okay, so the Great Wall is north of Beijing. Inside, okay, the Great Wall, and I've got a number of bookmarks here. The Great Wall Museum of China. That looks interesting. All right. What fascinates me about the Great Wall, I've done a lot of ceramics in my life, and each one of these bricks, that of the billions of bricks that they used to make the Great Wall, was fired in a kiln. And that whole process is just fascinating, that they had sufficient people and knowledge and resources to manufacture that friggin' many bricks. Okay, what else do I have about the Great Wall? Oh, I have a whole folder on the Great Wall. Okay, the other thing that fascinates me about the Great Wall is where it manages to go into the sea. This is getting closer to the end of the Great Wall, where it ends in the ocean. And I'm pretty sure I have that part. Mountain near the sea meets the sea. Okay, this is where it meets the sea. And you know, as an idea of keeping out foreign invaders, the fact that the wall has to end in the ocean somewhere. What is this? That's a maze. Huh. All right, and then this is looking out at the beach, where on that same spot. So now, if I close this view, we're going to be exactly in that part of China where the Great Wall meets the ocean, and you can see that these streets are offset from the main thing. It makes it really confusing. But let's just see if we can find another view of that. Okay, so here's somebody that took a panorama from the beach, possibly looking back at that section of the Great Wall. Yep, there it is. That's where it meets the beach. Somebody's texting me. I guess I should have turned my phone clear off.
What part of China is that geographically?
Okay, I'll back up so you can see. That's a good question. Thank you. Okay, so where that red marker is where we just were, and this is the part of China. Right, here's Beijing, right, and the real tourist part of the Great Wall is just north of Beijing. So this is the part of China where the Korean Peninsula starts to stick out. So in the ancient history, what they were trying to do with the Great Wall is protect themselves from all these people that lived up in here that were horseback warriors, the Mongol hordes. And the Mongols managed to invade China and Europe successfully quite a few times. All right, halfway through, we're still in.
Back out some more, please.
Some what?
Back out some more, please, if you can.
Sure, I can back up all the way. Wait, that was too much, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, how's that?
Great.
Okay.
Okay. So before we leave the Great Wall, I like to look at it where it's been overgrown and where the tourists, where it hasn't been cleaned up just for tourist people. This is what, and again, there wasn't one Great Wall, there was many.
This is a great view right here, Storm, because you know we walked the wall in last October with a group, and this
Right.
is fun to see it looking like this.
Right, right. I think I have more of it being overgrown. I said way overgrown. All right, let's look at my bookmark that I labeled way overgrown. Oh, you can hardly see it.
Yeah.
All right. And then yeah, see, it's just phenomenal to me that in the Ming Wall of the Ming Dynasty portion of the Great Wall is this one that was made out of billions of fired bricks. And the Ming Dynasty was like, I don't know, 1200 BC, AD, you know, like 800 years ago, okay? So if I close this, we'll be able to back up and see where in China that part of the overgrown wall is. And it is, well, it's still north of Beijing, but it's quite a ways removed. I saw, okay, natural area, painting gallery. What was it? I saw something here that looked, scenic area. Let's just explore, okay? Well, that doesn't say much. Scenic area. If there's no pictures, oh, wait a minute. It said Great Wall. Great Wall scenic area. No pictures. Well, that doesn't help us much. Maybe there's some panoramas that have been uploaded. No panoramas. Natural scenic area. There's a picture of the Great Wall, crumbled. And some more of it overgrown. Returning to nature, right? After a few thousand years, you'll hardly know it was there. That's what we do to this place. Beijing cliffside carvings. Oh, I've got some great cliffside carvings. Let's get on here because there's a few things I absolutely do not want to. Great Wall of Maine tourist unrestored letters, rugged section page. All right, this is a whole page of. Oh yeah, the other thing that's really fascinating to me about the Great Wall is how they managed to make it on the tops of these darn mountains. Okay, rugged sections. And I found this whole page devoted to rugged sections of the Great Wall. Look at that, it's right on the top there. All right, so where did I find that from? Well, that is a rugged section of the Great Wall. Where is that? Great Wall of China. Again, this is not far from Beijing altogether. All right, Great Wall. Okay, so this is the main historic site that all the tourists go to, and then I found some others outside. Unrestored. What is this? Letters on the hillside. For some reason. Okay, this is the Great Wall scenic area, and there's Chinese letters written into the hillside here that are 100 feet tall. I do not know why. That's a gorgeous view. That is just a gorgeous view. All right. Unrestored. Needs to see mountains near inside tower. Okay, we did that. All right, let's go to central China. And a couple of my bookmarks have these exclamation points in front of them. And that means that you have to see it. You're not going to believe what I found. And I don't know exactly where this is or what the history of this is, but I found it. It's called the Longmen Grottos. And now that we're curious, we're going to search Google and look up the Wikipedia page. It looks like I've already been there. Finest examples of Chinese Buddhist art. Tens of thousands of statues located south of present day, blah, 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 forest. There are as many as 100,000 statues in 2,300 caves, ranging from 1 inch to 57 feet. That's what these Longmen grottos are. Sometimes it's fun to click on the pictures in Wikipedia and just scroll through them this way. Well, sometimes it's fun. That's a better view of it. So all of these grottos, oh, there we go. We can zoom in on it. All right, let me close the Wikipedia page, and you guys are back with me here, right?
Gee whiz.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah. So this is the main page that I found by clicking on the Longmen Grottos as it appeared in my Google Earth view. So when I close it, we'll be able to back out and see what part of China that is. It's got to be central China somewhere. It's a UNESCO listed cliff cave carving site. And oh, I know, this is definitely central China. We're way south of Beijing, but we're not anywhere near the real part of South China yet. Central China. Let's stick with the, all right, so over in this part of China is desert. And I found a picture of the desert dunes with little bitty lakes in them. And as you may recall, when we were visiting North Africa, I just love it when Google Earth View lets you see this much detail of the middle of a desert in the middle of nowhere. I'm just like, nature did that. And it had nothing to do with us. And I'll show you where in China that is. It's not the Gobi Desert. It's the desert between China and the Gobi Desert, which is over here. So central China, is that where we are? All right. Giant Buddha. This blows my mind. This thing is 500 feet tall, okay? And it sits on the side of a river at the confluence of two rivers. Oh, and I discovered something in the Wikipedia page from this that I gotta share with you. It has to do with the drainage, okay? So if we go down here, drainage system. Behind the Buddha's head and between his two ears, the Lishan giant Buddha has a unique and advanced drainage system to preserve the statue from erosion. Several hidden gutters and channels scattered in his hair, collar, chest, and holes in the back of his ears and chest have been carrying rainwater to keep the inner areas dry. The complex architectural system has been preventing the statue from eroding for the past 1,200 years. This is his head. I don't know what this is. It's a giant Buddha statue. It's not the same one carved in by the river, but oh, here's a view. It gives you a little perspective of how big it is. And then, so if we close this, we'll see it's at the confluence of those two rivers. Let's just see what street view. Oh, there's all kinds of things. Let's pick one out here, see what that is. Well, I have no idea. Not too interesting. Massive ancient stone sculpture. There's a scenic area. I don't know if we're going to get this might be a view of it from a bridge. Nope. All right. Well, that's the central China giant Buddha. Okay, here's another view of it. Oh, this is a different giant Buddha. Sorry. This statue is 500 feet tall. And it's out in the middle of near a town in central China. And Spring Temple Buddha. If we had more time, I would go there on the Wikipedia page. All right, many great statues. This is an awesome statue. It's like some dragon with a snake and a turtle back, and this is a I thought a great statue. And then this is some kind of really interesting carving with the white rock and the gold trim. I don't know what this is. It's, look how big that is. These are people down here. What is this one? Oh, here's the other side of that first one. Or no, that's a different one. All right. I'm not even sure where that is. Exam. All right. A large city and capital in central China. And it's known for architecture. Okay, so we didn't get to the terracotta warriors yet. That's where we're going next. And that is all in, here's the main site. Okay, this is the museum's main site. And I think most of you are probably somewhat familiar with the history of these guys, how they were discovered a while back and that they've been carefully excavated. The terracotta part means that they've been fired in a kiln and out of clay. And it's a process where, as opposed to fine china, terracotta is just fired one time and then painted afterwards. With fine china, you have to fire it twice in order to get the glaze on it. One of the things I wanted to show you while we were in this part of China is this whole the tomb. Where did it go? Okay, over here. All right, this green mound right in the center of the screen is the actual mountain which is still there, which they know is the tomb of the first emperor, and they have decided to hold off excavating it until they have better equipment and better knowledge and better ways to do it. And to me, that decision says this whole mountain here that in the middle there was created just to create that tomb. And the idea that they're not going to excavate it until they have better ways, it to me says a lot about the differences between China and us. If it was in our country, we would have torn into it in the 1800s. We got to find out what's in there. This is not the same site as the terracotta warriors. This is a slightly separate from them. And it's a building, Emperor's Mausoleum. All right, this big long building in the middle is the one that you see in all the pictures. The second one I found also to be very interesting. And you can tell there's a lot of scenic views from inside there. We'll just see what this picture, and that doesn't do as much. Central terracotta warriors. Oh, this is what I want. Yeah, yet to be examined. Okay, there. That's the picture. This mountain with all the trees on it, and it's ginormous, is someday going to be excavated by the Chinese, because this whole terracotta warrior thing was set up to protect what was underneath that mountain. Here's the chariot horses and stuff. Here's another view of the mountain. And I can't hardly believe that they haven't excavated it, that they're waiting until they have better excavation techniques. But that's
Probably scared too.
Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't want to do it in 2020. We've had plenty of problems with 2020 already. No time to go. Underground Palace of the Emperor. What's that? This is what they think the underground palace might look like when they do finally excavate it. There's a lot of theories about that. Oh, this is a close-up of the guy. And, you know, they all had wooden actual weapons and stuff that have degraded. All right, so I think that's enough of the terracotta ornate gate near Shandao. Well, before we leave central China, whoa, look at that. It's just really elaborate. You can see, let me zoom in on it. All right, before we leave central China, awesome old man black statue. Oh, look at this guy. I just really resonated with this statue of this old guy hunched over, grabbing his robes in that kind of way. Here's another view of him. Again, that's somewhere in central China. All right, Stone Forest. We'll check that out, and then we'll move on to the south. There's a geological formation somewhere in central China that's resulted in erosion and this kind of scenery. Oh, here's a good view of it. All right, we got yeah, less than 20 minutes for the, we did central, north, okay, South China. Actually, let me just do it this way. I want to show you guys just how far south China goes. Stone Forest Scenic Area. This is Hanoi in Vietnam. And this island of Harbin in China, if you click on it, you'll see it's like a tropical tourist zone for the Chinese people. And they take vacations like we would take a vacation to the Caribbean to this island. That's ginormous. Jiminy Christmas. What the heck is that? I can't read the Chinese. I didn't know that was there. These are all just different scenes from around the island. Maybe we can find that. The southern beaches. No, it doesn't say. Say again?
Kuan Yin, I think.
I can't hear you.
Kuan Yin.
Kuan Yin, okay. Anyway, there's lots of different panoramas. People on vacation like to take pictures and upload them to Google Earth View. I don't know what this one is, but we gotta find that statue. Let me try something here. Right. Oh, I know. Okay, it's got to be on that island, right? So if we do Google search for on the name of that island and just see what comes up. Well, there it is. It's a place of worship, and we're looking at it somewhere in that picture, but it's easier to tell from these pictures here. Or is it? There's only one picture of it. That doesn't make much sense. That's not it. It's off on an island. Oh, okay. All right. So one of these, this is the very southern tip of the southern island in the south of China. And I remember going over this before. There's a lot of interesting touristy stuff here, but I don't remember that statue. And we may not have time to fully find it. I don't want to. All right, let's see what else I have for the south. All right, this is the southernmost tourist city. And here's that look at night. It's pretty well lit up. And then, okay, so this is saying that that statue is in the town of Sanya, which is the southernmost town. There it is again. Oh, we've been here before. South. View from tropical forest. There's a view of that town from up in the hills. You can see how tropical it is. The Maritime Museum. All right, now we're going to jump over to Macau. Macau is near Hong Kong. And this is a maritime museum I found in Macau. And they have exhibitions of old Chinese sailing vessels. I almost said boats, but I know Larry would correct me. I'm supposed to call them ships. Oh, that's a cool statue. All right, let me show you where Macau is. Macau is the Las Vegas of China. It has huge casinos. Sorry about that. And it's not far from Hong Kong. All right. And what's interesting, okay, here's Hong Kong here, and here's Macau over here. And they have recently constructed a bridge between the two cities. You see it start to show up here, this line across the middle. This is a combination of bridge and tunnels. And what I think is really interesting is, see these lines coming up here in the satellite picture? That is because the tide was coming in, and it created sediment lines where the pillars are holding up that bridge. And then this part of the bridge was elevated to let boats go underneath, but the really big boats have to go over it. So they created an island, and then they tunneled under. And you can see the second part of the island doesn't show up in Google Earth View yet, but I believe it has been constructed. This is the airport in Hong Kong. This is an artificial island that they built just to create an airport for it in Hong Kong. And there are lots and lots of interesting street views in Hong Kong because it's, we got the total street view. Let's take a look on a boat from Hong Kong. All right, we're on a boat and we're looking back at Hong Kong, and we can go certain directions, or we can just find another place in Hong Kong to go. Maybe from this boat here. Well, actually, let's do this. All right, this is a panorama from a boat looking at Hong Kong. Yeah. In China, in the south, I had other things: Hong Kong skyscraper and strange boats in Harbin. This thing in the foreground here with the shadow is a skyscraper in Hong Kong. I don't know why that came up. But for some reason, I expected to find like yachts and fancy boats in the harbor of Hong Kong. And what I found were these rusted out derricks. These are flat boats that are towed by a tugboat that have cranes on them. And I do not know why.
I think they're dredges.
Dredges? That's possible.
I think so. Right.
All right. All right. I'm going to just kind of bop around in parts of southern China to show you things that I found. This, I have no idea what it is, but it looked really extraordinary to me. And then as I was checking this out and adding my exclamation points to the ones I wanted to be sure and show you, I think that this is perhaps a graveyard. I can't really tell, but it looks like these are people walking through. It doesn't look like tents. It doesn't look like people, but maybe it is. It's really hard to know. And if I close this, I can show you where in China that was. Satellite view. It's kind of in the mountains of southern China. Well, that was more like central China. China south. Green rice paddies. There's a place in China. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? There's a place in China that is tropical, and it has these hills that just rise up like this. And it's quite a tourist attraction. Oh, here's a great view of them. All right. So that is the city of Glitzy. Quick facts. China south. All right. So those hill formations are called tower karsts. They're tall rock structures made of soluble rock. They form as near vertical joints and fractures that are eroded downward. These are more pictures of them that I found. I just thought it was fascinating. That China is one area of China that has a whole bunch of those. Gorgeous mountain city. What is that?
I think those rocks were the inspiration in the movie where they had the floating rocks in Avatar.
Yes, I think
Because when the cloud level is low, it looks like the rock is floating in the air. So that's what inspired that.
yes, I believe you're right. All right, let's see, south. Happy Statue of Primitive Tribe, Valley Hot Springs Hotel. We're just going to do, I'm going to turn that off next time. We're just going to do random visits of my bookmarks in South China. There's a casino. I mentioned Macau is the Las Vegas of Asia, and that's because it has casinos that look like this. Sorry. All right, we did that. And this is a city north of Hong Kong, and it's a very old city, and it's composed of all these. In the middle of it, it has all these streets that are too narrow to get cars through. And it reminded me of some places in Europe where they preserved the inner old city, and you can see here it's actually a very large city, but the inner part. Let's find some more here. Yeah, right here. What is that? I have no idea what that is. Well, that's a mall. We dropped in on a mall. But these roads in here are way too close together for cars to get through. But people still live there and walk. Maybe this will show us why. That's at night. That's at night. And this is at night too, but at least you can see. All right, so that one is big enough for cars. Okay, bridge, we did that. Narrow streets, something garden on the Mekong River. The Mekong River flows through China, and then it goes all the way through Cambodia and Thailand and empties into the ocean in Saigon. Oh, we didn't do the Three Gorges Dam. All right, we got just enough minute. That's in Central.
Vietnam.
I know where it is. All right, this is a fascinating thing, but I'm going to show you where the Three Gorges Dam is and why. All right. This part, there's two main rivers in China. Maybe it was better to see them on this. No, that doesn't show much either. The Yellow River is in the north, and the Yangtze River is in the south. And the Yangtze River created this vast, very fertile floodplain, and it empties into the ocean near Shanghai. There's the Yangtze River. But it's also in history, Wuhan is a city on the Yangtze River. In history, it's also been called China's sorrow because of the floods. Over the course of many thousands of years, this river has flooded and killed literally millions of Chinese over time. And the reason is that it goes through these mountains and it drains a huge part of Mongolia and Tibet, comes out through this part of China in the Yangtze River. So the Three Gorges Dam was constructed to control the flow on the Yangtze River, and it's right here. You can see it coming up from quite a ways distance. This is 2 miles to the inch still. They had to, there was millions and millions of people that were displaced by the lake that was created. It is the largest dam. It's the largest hydroelectric power plant in the world. And there's two, they wanted to maintain river traffic, and they have a system of canals that are just like any old, like the Panama Canal. There's 1, 2, 3, 5 stages for a ship to climb up over the dam or to be lowered. But they have a ship elevator too. And the ships are able to drive right into this elevator and be hoisted up over the dam. And geologically, I don't know how they did it. I mean, because the dam has to hold back the whole lake, right? But it's a straight shot up to the elevator. Let's see what we can find. This is a view from the viewing area, looking back at the output of the elevator. That's where the boats will come out from that. This is looking along the dam. And so there's quite a few other, let's see if we can find another view of the dam. This might do it. Yeah, there's the dam off in the distance. Central, that would be central, right? Desert dunes. Oh, Three Gorges Dam off, Three Gorges boat elevator. I did have a bookmark. Oh, this is what it looks like on the inside. You see all those cables holding the thing up. All right, it's strong enough to hold up the water and a ship. This is part of the. That's looking back at the locks. Oh, here's a close up of the number of wires needed to hold up a portion of the river with a boat in it and elevate it up the face of the dam. All right, this is a statue and some relief work near the dam. All right, so that was in Central, right? Three Gorges, tourist boats in swift water. And I have a lot more, but we've arrived at 2 o'clock. Let me show you the view of the city of Chengdu, which is in the far west of China, from a skyscraper. This is a city, the greater metropolitan area of Chengdu has 18 million people, which makes it bigger than New York and Chicago and LA combined. But again, the population of China is 1.4 billion in an area that we have 330 million. And just to give you an idea of where that is in China, it's quite a long ways from the rest of China. It's right here. All right. So Beijing is way up at the top, and Shenzhou is the last big city before the Tibetan plateau. And it's just ginormous. It's just ginormous, and it has all kinds of stuff. Any questions?
Storm, I just have a comment about the early scenes that you showed of the cities and the apartment complexes. At the end of World War II, China was essentially an agrarian country entirely.
Yes.
You know, and a lot of those cities were built from scratch
Yes.
planned by the central government, where they would go in and they would build factories and build cities, and then they would move people from the countryside into the cities as part of Mao's 100-year plan,
Right.
which they're still working on. So a lot of those, the apartments and the cities were very similar across China, because
Yes.
they didn't evolve the way cities in Europe and America did over hundreds of years with increasing populations.
Right.
They were built and then they were populated
Right.
and
Well, thank you for that, Gary. That does help fill in the whole picture of why every city I've ever looked at in China is surrounded by these large complexes of
you'll see a difference on the coastal cities. Some of the coastal cities were older because they developed through trade and Western expansion, the British occupation, and so forth. So, obviously Hong Kong and Beijing had an old town that was very different from what you've depicted at some of these other cities.
Right.
Anyway, China is still working on Mao's 100-year plan.
Right. All right. So we're going to end by dropping in on a random Starbucks coffee in Shenzhen, China. And
I'm get coffee.
yeah, that
I
is
don't drink coffee.
all right. That is the
Green tea.
end of the third Explore.